It's WrestleMania week. We're gonna try our best to give our predictions, outcomes, everything that's gonna happen at WrestleMania, and everything's in between. This is WrstlXtra. Yo, this is a WrstlXtra. I'm your boy A Dazzle, the Black Wrestling Advocate, always joined by my tag team partner, the Oracle, the all-knowing one. Say his name, he shall appear. It is Gerard Bonner. Oh man, listen. First of all, how excited are you for Mania?
You know, in many parts of the world, last week was considered Holy Week. A lot of people were excited about it. But this week, my friends, it's Convocation Week. Let me tell you something. We have been preparing. We have been opening the door. We have been waiting for you to join us for Convocation Week. And I'm telling you guys, it's going to be special. I am excited. I got my WrestleMania gear on. I am ready. I'm going to have my vestments on. It's going to be a whole thing for Convocation Week. It's already started, and I'm very, very excited. I'm inviting you, and you to join us this weekend for Convocation. We got services at all times. We've got many ways for you to view. If you can't be in the building live, it's going to be something special. Convocation is waiting for you this week.
Two-night Convocation, yes.
Two-night Convocation.
Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And we've got services Friday night for all the people. We've got gatherings Thursday. And I mean, even after everything goes down Saturday and Sunday, we've got a special Monday night afterglow just for you. I'm telling you guys, it's going to be a special week, a very, very special week.
Listen, I think this plays into the fact, of course, that, you know, this is easily, I believe easily, the blackest WrestleMania that we've had since WrestleMania 37. Just to remind people of what WrestleMania 37 was about, it obviously had the main event between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
You had the New Day in tag team title match. You had Big E versus Apollo Crews Intercontinental Championship on the line. You had Bobby Lashley defeating Drew McIntyre in the first match of that Convocation weekend.
Yes.
You know, I think Bobby Lashley was also the first African American to walk in and out as a WWE champion as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, with everything that we know about this weekend, you know, it is the closest we've had to that level of representation of us in this space. And it's been a long time. We've been talking about it on the show week in, week out. You know, this time last year we were questioning when we'll see a black male superstar in just even on a PLE, let alone WrestleMania, just even on a PLE in singles contention. And we're getting it. We're getting it in a massive way. The state partners hires all of the matches that I mentioned in 37, but at the same time, even though not every single match is about a championship, it just feels, there's something about it that just feels bigger. And to be fair, of all of them that I can think of, only two of them that are involving African Americans, only two of the 6, I believe it is, probably 5 or 6, only 2 of them do not involve a championship. That being iSHOWSPEED involved in the 6-man tag that's going to open the whole weekend on night 1. But again, you know, he's connected with the tag team champions in that match.
Sure.
And then the other one The other one that everyone is saying is basically the the main event of the whole weekend, the most anticipated match, easily the whole weekend, is OBA FEMI versus Brock Lesnar. So while title's not involved, they're both matches are still major matches. Both matches will be kicking off their respective nights as well. Let's get into that first. So iShowSpeed, of course, is known for being, he's one of the most popular streamers on the planet. That making him one of the most popular people on the planet right now.
Yeah.
There's this whole talk, and there's been so many different things, including Pat McAfee, including Jelly Roll, Little Yachty as well, alongside Trick Williams. This whole talk, and almost an upset or an uproar from wrestling fans in general about the involvement, or too much involvement, as most people are saying, of celebrities for WrestleMania. Gerard, what are your thoughts on that? Like in terms of, one, the way it's being done, or it feels like it's being done this year, or since the TKO takeover, and just celebrities at WrestleMania in general. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Well, I think these are moments where people may have forgotten what history looks like when it comes to WrestleMania. I know people want pro wrestling to be the primary focus when it comes to WrestleMania, but WrestleMania has always featured celebrities in some capacity, getting back to the very first WrestleMania. I mean, think about this. I think the first WrestleMania, according to many of today's pro wrestling standards, wouldn't meet your standards. Here's why. The WWE Championship wasn't even defended at the first WrestleMania. Just sit with that for a second. The WWE Championship was not defended. Instead, you had a tag team match that featured the WWE champion alongside, get this, a celebrity. Mr. T was involved in the main event of the first WrestleMania. You had Liberace as the timekeeper. You had Billy Martin, who was a very popular manager for the New York Yankees, who was the ring announcer. I mean, you had Muhammad Ali, who was the referee. I mean, you had Cyndi Lauper was involved in WrestleMania. Like the way that all of these stars were involved in WrestleMania, because the whole idea was to make WrestleMania pop culture. So that has always been the spirit of WrestleMania, that it would always involve a celebrity. So think about it. Just think about it. Sure, at Convocation, you want obviously to have a high time, but if you're gonna get people to show up to Convocation who don't normally show up, you get the guest preacher. You get somebody super popular who just, hasn't been in your space, showing up in your space. The intrigue alone is what's exciting. So yeah, we've had celebrities in WrestleMania since the very beginning, and I don't think we're ever gonna have a WrestleMania without a celebrity. Now, in terms of the celebrities that have been chosen, guys, listen, for as upset as you might be about an iShowSpeed showing up at WrestleMania, at least he's trained at the Performance Center. The most training we got for Mr. T were a couple of Rocky-like videos with Hulk Hogan, and Mr. T wasn't all that great, yet he found himself in the ring for the first two consecutive WrestleManias. So I think, again, most people, and I want to be fair, this is WrestleMania 42. So I understand that some of the people who are making these complaints were not around for the original WrestleMania and likely haven't gone back to watch the original WrestleMania or the subsequent WrestleMania. So celebrities have always been involved. And at least, like I said, iShowSpeed is actually getting trained at the Performance Center. Guys, when celebrities were involved in the ring at WrestleMania, probably through the first, I would say 20 to 25, probably even more WrestleManias, it was hard to watch. It was very hard to watch. It wasn't until I would say the last, you know, the modern WrestleManias, where if we saw a celebrity involved, they actually had trained, and they could fit in those spaces. So yeah, there's always going to be celebrities involved.
You know, I find it funny when you see the tweets and the comments on posts and the reactions to a McAfee or a Jelly Roll and iShowSpeed and all these other people where, you know, people make jokes about, oh, in the next 2 or 3 years, you know, the main event of WrestleMania is going to be Logan Paul versus Mr. Beast. You know, it's like, as you said, you know, this is WrestleMania 42. And we've been doing this for 42 years. Like from the first one, a celebrity has been involved in some way, shape, or form, and it's evolved over time. The likes of a Logan Paul and Bad Bunny have probably changed the premise for in a better way, because as you said,
absolutely,
you know, Speed has been training for months, months.
Yeah.
You know, and also it's not a thing where, you know, this is some random guy, because we've seen that he's an athletic guy as well at the same time.
Yes.
You know, you can mention Jelly Roll as well. He's lost however many hundreds of pounds because he started training to do wrestling, and then from that subsequently then lost weight, you know, for his own health and all the rest of it. But it came from training for WrestleMania last year. Or, you know, and other things that he's done in the ring or around the ring. So it's not like it's getting worse. It's actually getting better. The whole talk of, oh, in a few years, it's going to be this and it's going to be that. It kind of reminds me of, this is going to sound so crazy, but it kind of reminds me of when you hear sometimes when you see like a mixed race couple, and then people start talking about, oh, well, you know, we're going to lose all the black people, or we're going to lose all the white people in 5 years. Like, really? It's not going to be that. And as you said, Gerard, you know, the first WrestleMania was basically a match that is very similar to the match that is about to kick off this year's WrestleMania. That was the main event.
That's the main event. Yeah.
So why are we making a fuss about this now? I don't get it.
It's because people don't understand history and they've not done their research. So that's why we're here, you know, to help remind and educate the people. Like, guys, the things that you're upset about, listen, before you got here, they were going on. And it's the reason, whether we like it or not. Like, I know we aren't necessarily fans of celebrities being involved in the sport, and we'll say all kinds of things like, you know, would you see a celebrity in the NBA championship or at the Super Bowl? Well, you do see them at the Celebrity All-Star game, and you do see them, you know, so I think we don't get to where we are today in terms of pro wrestling being viewed all over the world with this level of ease and mainstream attention without these moves that have happened at WrestleMania.
For sure, for sure. Bear with me 1 second. We've got our own celebrity who's about to join us now.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
This is, of course, Mex. Woo!
Oh,
yeah. also known as the bringer of war.
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes.
You know, actually, Mex, you've come in on a perfect point. I was just about to ask the question. So we've just been talking about, obviously, the celebrity involvement and stuff like that, and the fact that it's, you know, from history of WrestleMania, it's the reason why we are where we are in terms of WWE, its popularity, all the rest of it. But there is this whole talk of the involvement of Pat McAfee in this whole, you know, the Randy Orton Cody feud. You know, there is a very good argument as to, you know, they could have chosen anyone. Why Pat McAfee? In your mind, is there a justification to Pat McAfee being used in this space, or do you feel, or are you on the side of maybe it should have been someone else?
I definitely, well, firstly, I'll say that this story tells itself. No one else was needed.
Yeah.
They've chosen to kind of create this this next person that Randy Orton was on the phone to, right? Randy Orton saying the phrase that there's more than one royal family in wrestling or whatever obviously sent us all into a frenzy, saying that this would be someone that is business adjacent, you know, Ric Flair, McMahon, or someone like that, right? And then they've chosen someone completely left field in Pat McAfee. So I think what we've learned is that Ari Emanuel, he seems to have a soft spot for Pat McAfee, seems to think he is a talent that can, you know, be the next Sylvester Stallone, apparently, and take the world by storm. I think from a positive point of view, I would actually say Pat's performances have been really good. Like in any other scenario, if he was just like a heel guy coming out speaking on behalf of someone, I would actually think he's this guy is a WWE superstar, you know. In terms of here, there's just no need for it, no room for it. The verbiage of what he's saying doesn't really make sense at all. On SmackDown, he pretty much said, don't buy tickets for night 2 because night 2 is rubbish. Buy tickets for night 1 and here's 25% off. Well, if night 1 is so much better than night 2, why are we still selling tickets for it? Like, just a lot of things don't make sense. Using a main event angle, your undisputed championship angle, like to sell tickets and to push the narrative and get more people into WrestleMania, or this is why the product is dying and we're still selling tickets. It's just, we don't need to be almost condemning our biggest show of the year live in front of everyone 2 weeks out, 1 week out from the show. So celebrity involvement in general is becoming too much for me. I can't lie. I don't need it. I will say that iShowSpeed has been really, really good. I think he's been really good in what he's done. I think Lil Yachty and Trick Williams fit like a glove together. I can't stand Lil Yachty's voice. I can't.
Oh God!
Sorry,
carry on.
They have chemistry.
Get some bass in your voice.
Honestly,
big Yachty. Sorry.
Lil Yachty for a reason, innit? Yeah, there's definitely some good involvement. I think even Jelly Roll, until he was firmly involved in this, like Jelly Roll can cut a good promo, to be completely honest. Like, he speaks very well. So I think you have to use it in certain spots, but to get them so heavily involved in your night 1 main event, I think is the issue, sort of thing. If this was lower down on the card and some other fodder, fine. But yeah, in total, I think too much involvement for me. The Pat McAfee one just doesn't really make sense at all.
And that's the thing. It's not even about him being a celebrity. It's more about it making sense. And that's all it is. Whereas everyone else that we've seen does make sense. Okay, Little Yacht is probably another questionable one, if you ask me. But I will give this man credit for taking that haluva kick. Oh my word! No, I took everything back when I saw him take that haluva kick. I was like, okay, fair enough. But you know, again, iShowSpeed, Jelly Roll, both have trained. You know, you can see that they've made steps in order to make their involvement make sense. It's a shame. I mean, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm sure we expected Jelly Roll to be involved in his own match. I think there was talk of him with The Miz and Danhausen and Kit Wilson and whoever else in between. That kind of played out, I guess, on SmackDown, and is now a bit more involved in that main event with Cody and Randy. But celebrity involvement is what makes WrestleMania. So yeah, at points there are times where you feel as though it doesn't make sense, or it might feel as though it's too much. But I think for the most part, we're still in that space where it does make sense. We can understand why. You know, you've got Logan Paul, who started out as celebrity involvement, and now he's a former United States and current tag team champion. And with everyone involved in that match, quite possibly the best wrestler in that match.
That's a
so it's true. So you know, we can't dumb down, or we can't discredit, should I say? We can't discredit the whole celebrity involvement too much. Moving things along just a little bit, let's talk about the opening match of night 2. Gerard, we were on the show, was it 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, talking about the placement or the possible placement of this match, where it should be, how it should go, and all those kinds of things. And we were saying that it should possibly be the main event or the final match of night 1. Obviously, we've come to find out now that it's the opening match of night 2. What are your thoughts when it comes to the placement of this match? Is it a good thing? Can you find the positives, even though it's different to what you thought it should be?
This is so interesting because I think there are a number of factors that are causing us to have to really rethink how we're measuring what success looks like with this. You know, there's the whole thing of, and we can't deny this ESPN situation is a game changer here in the States. Now, I know internationally it's going to all be on Netflix, but certainly to understand why this is significant, you have to understand that ESPN is literally the worldwide leading sports network. And certainly here in the States, whether most people realize it or not, it is the #1 cable network of any of them. So let's just kind of put this into perspective. While in my mind, I think you need to have something to whet the appetite so people buy the app so that they'll watch the main event. That's how my mind works. But when you start looking at the numbers, let's consider this. The ESPN app has right now roughly 24 million subscribers, okay? It's a significant number. ESPN as a network has 60 million subscribers. So you're going to get in front of roughly 60 million eyes, or even if you said only half of those people watched, 30 million eyes. That's a lot of eyes to be in front of, to be responsible for people really engaging with this product. And even if it converts to only, you know, a handful of or whatever of subscribers, it's a win. This is something that is so massive for WrestleMania to air on ESPN2 and ESPN proper. I don't know that people are really understanding how significant this is. You know, and that's just because, and I hate to say it like this, but today's generation of wrestling fan is accustomed to wrestling being everywhere. So, okay, I can watch it on Netflix. I can watch it on ESPN. I can watch it on USA. All of these places where growing up in the 80s and 90s, you only had a handful of places to watch pro wrestling and only on certain days. And you only dreamt that the Super Bowl of wrestling would be on a major network. You just hope that they covered it, let alone it actually airing on there. So this is a massive moment. And while personally, I still believe it should have been the main event of night 1, as in going on last, given the responsibility to be on ESPN in front of the entire world, is a massive responsibility, a massive honor. And if Paul Heyman calls it the main event, I'm going to call it the main event. So, yeah, I think, you know, it's a huge responsibility, a huge opportunity for OBA, for Brock. And as much as I would have scheduled it differently, I'm not mad that it's the first match on WrestleMania Sunday.
Max, any thoughts on this placement at all in your mind?
Obviously, WrestleMania traditionally was on a Sunday, so like it is on the main night. If you and obviously Sunday has already sold more tickets than Saturday, right? The ESPN thing is definitely a big deal because, like Gerard said, that is TV for the masses in the States, you know. Right. So this is literally the advert of this is the WWE. This is what we do. Hopefully, you come and join us for the rest of the show, and then join us forever more. So to be given that responsibility on the opening match of night 2, so that first kind of slot where it's on ESPN is a big deal. If WWE had massive cojones, this should be the night 1 main event.
For sure.
100%. It has lapped everything else on WrestleMania in terms of fan interest, and they know it. So this definitely should at the very least be the night one main event. But yeah, we don't necessarily need to rush OBA FEMI to a night one main event. If they were going to do that, I would like kind of maybe more stakes. Maybe that would make this Brock Lesnar's retirement match or something like that. But they 100% have built a story that has garnered that level of attention and deserves that slot. For me, I actually wanted this to be night one, match one. In terms of because of the pull aparts and stuff we've been having, like sell it as like even backstage at WrestleMania during the pre-show, these two are destroying the backstage area, trying to get at each other. We cannot schedule this later on. We have to move this forward. We just need to let them go at it now. Let them kill themselves now, sort of thing. And we kind of start the show like immediately hot. And even from a point of view of getting people into the stadium, setting the tone for the weekend, I think that would have been absolutely massive. It's going to do exactly that for Sunday night. But I feel that's why this should have been, you know, the real, like let's just kind of get this over and done with, because these two guys, we can't control them. We're losing resources and security guards every moment that we're holding them away from each other. So let them just go at it, sort of thing. But I think for where they are, where it's landed, night two, the first match of night two, I think it's a good position, and it's going to be memorable regardless.
Yeah. I was of the belief as well that last match of night one would have made the most sense. But definitely not mad at it being where it is, especially with it being night two. And again, it's the one thing that's got everyone talking. So if it's then available for everyone to see, everyone's going to watch. Whereas even though we can make sense of it being a main event on night one or the final match on night one, it would then have potentially less eyes on it than it probably would have been where it is now. So it does make sense. Next, we've said already, we've talked about how it has been, the most anticipated match and has had the most eyes on it in terms of social media views, in terms of excitement, in terms of anticipation. This past last night on Monday Night Raw, they both kind of signed their contracts separately. What were your thoughts on how they did that, OBA FEMI's promo, and then also give me, if you can, your prediction for the match itself? Oh, we've lost you. Can't hear you. Gerard. Oh, no. Gerard, you go, and then we'll get Rick.
Sure. So I think it was a brilliant move last night to have them, because, when it went off last week, they hadn't signed the contract. So you actually have to, again, tie a bow on that. They've got to sign the contract if we're going to do that. So I think the way they did it was brilliant, to have them show up at different parts of the night, to give them space to say whatever it was that they wanted to say, for Paul Heyman to come out during OBA's space. And listen, I can't get over just how people have connected with OBA FEMI. The crowd shots are incredible. For the people literally just from the strut to the screen to now become a thing where half the crowd chants OBA, the other half grunts. Like, it's so incredible. But with all of that said, when OBA FEMI puts his mouth on the microphone, good Lord, when that man said, "I am the one, I've always been the one," listen, that's the convocation commercial you want. I had chills. I got a good church quicken from that. I was like, whoa, yes, because that's the electricity. It's the same thing he did when he was fighting Ricky Starks. And he told Ricky Saints, he said, "I'm your daddy." What? Oh my God. OBA FEMI has everything we've been waiting for. And here's the thing. We didn't know we were waiting for it, So for all the people this time last year who were screaming and hollering, man, we don't have a black male star in the main event or on a PLE. I told you guys, let them cook in NXT. And now that they have cooked, we've got people that everybody loves. And this OBA FEMI situation, insane. So I'm telling you, this has always been the one. We didn't know he was the one, but he's the one. So in terms of how this thing goes down, like there are all sorts of rumors that are like, because it's on ESPN and ESPN loves Brock Lesnar, there's no way Brock Lesnar's losing. I completely disagree with that. I don't believe WWE is going to sacrifice the farm with all of these eyes on it. What's the bigger story? Brock Lesnar gets another win, or this new guy who we don't know anything about shows up strutting, not afraid, and then beats Brock Lesnar? That's the story. That's what ends up on Sports Center. That's what ends up being the story that everybody's talking about. It's not that Brock gets another win. It's that Oba conquers him. Now, here's the thing. You only have 2 matches in that first hour. There's only 1 or 2 ways. This could be a complete squash, which I wouldn't suggest, only because it would remind me of, when you'd have the big Mike Tyson fights or whatever, and you wait all this time and it's a 90-second fight. No, we need to see this clash of the Titans. Now, it's not a 60-minute Broadway. No, it's not an Iron Man match. But these two have to throw the heavy artillery. They got to break out their best moves. And Brock has to hit at least 2 F5s and Oba kicks out. Like, that's got to happen. It's, again, we've got to be able to establish that Oba is the new guy. So Brock has to be able to throw his best at him. And we need to see for the first time Brock have a crisis of confidence and go, I've thrown everything at this guy. He's thrown 15 suplexes. He's done and Oba comes back, hits that pop-up power bomb. He's got to throw Brock. He's got to throw Brock across the ring. Because, again, people haven't seen that. You got all the stragglers who are coming to see Brock, and they're like, who's this other guy? Oba's got to show up and show out, and Oba wins.
Mex. Nope, still can't. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. What is going on?
Paul Heyman's messing with our mics.
Right. What in the world?
For me, there is still that real fear that Brock Lesnar comes away as a winner. There is nothing that tells me there's a guarantee, at least, that OBA FEMI comes out as the winner. It's one of those things, and again, we say this all the time on here. We love when it's unpredictable. Mm-hmm. We love when it's unpredictable, and it whets our appetite even more. We want to see it. And the anticipation grows, and that's a beautiful thing. But my fear is that there is still a possibility of a Brock Lesnar win. Yes, it makes complete sense. If for OBA FEMI to win, it's the better move. Let's establish this guy. This is the best way we're going to do it. All that kind of thing. But there's no guarantee. In wrestling logic, in WWE logic, over the years, if we've only seen one person get the upper hand in the lead up, it means the other person's going to win most of the time. And that's what we've seen with this. So it's kind of like, okay, are we seeing a Brock Lesnar, the man, not the wrestler, who is happy for OBA FEMI to take his place, basically? Or are we getting the logic of Brock Lesnar wins? Mex, is there a world that makes a Brock Lesnar win make sense with this match?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Come on.
Okay. Is there a world that makes this Brock Lesnar win make sense? The answer is no. Like I was saying yesterday, there is one thing that could make me not lose my head to the extent I will still lose my head. And that is if Brock Lesnar wins and the rematch is the retirement match and OBA FEMI retires Brock Lesnar. Nobody else. If OBA FEMI retires Brock Lesnar, that is the only way. And I will still be absolutely gutted. But that is the only way I can somewhat stomach an OBA FEMI loss on Sunday. But I'll be very, very honest with you. I will not be stomaching any OBA FEMI. This internet will hear from me if OBA FEMI loses on Sunday, because the work they've done to get him to this point. Like we've all looked at OBA FEMI over NXT in the last couple of years and said that, yeah, he's the guy. He's very much the guy. But since his arrival in January, he has went up a level, maybe even several levels. Like, because now it's like you've really arrived at the dance. And obviously, God bless the people that got him here in terms of the Shawn Michaels and, you know, all of those great trainers down in NXT. But now with the minds of the business like Triple H, with a Paul Heyman who is obviously integral into everything Brock Lesnar does on TV, like we're all saying, and rightly so, OBA FEMI's promo was excellent. But the work Paul Heyman done to tee him up for that in that promo as well, like he knows how to create a star. Like I just feel like he has went up to a level that I didn't even see coming, despite saying that he's going to be the next guy. Like he really belongs. He really, really belongs. And like I said, for me, he has to win. He has to win. It is booking malpractice if he doesn't win. It is gross misconduct if he does not win on Sunday. Honestly, people need to lose jobs. People need to lose jobs if he doesn't win on Sunday. And I never advocate for anyone losing their job, but there's just no way that this shouldn't happen. Like Gerard said, that use Brock Lesnar to take us to the dance, the ESPNs and all of that kind of stuff. Oh, who's this kid that Brock Lesnar is fighting? And then the story becomes, who's this kid that Brock Lesnar lost to? Brock Lesnar, NCAA champion, 10-time WWE champion, IWGP champion. Who's this kid that just beat him? That is what the story needs to quickly turn into on Sunday. Not Brock Lesnar has just beaten another guy and got another notch on his belt. Like, forget all of that. This is it. This needs to set us up for what should be, from this point, a very successful first rookie year for OBA FEMI. Like I said, they can spin the block. He could maybe retire Brock Lesnar later if he doesn't get the job done. But this would be a massive chink in the armor if it doesn't deliver on Sunday. And I think they know that. I think they know that at this point.
Just a random question that kind of sprung to my head as you were saying what you were saying. Would it be a different scenario in any way if it wasn't OBA FEMI, but it was a Bron Breakker? So do you think that the presence, the stature, the way he looks and all the rest of it, do you think that adds to the fact that OBA needs to win? If this was a Bron Breakker, even given the fact that he's been in the WWE for, when he came to the main roster, when he did, he's done what he's done, but they just decided to kind of push a match between those two, and then have Bron, go over on Brock in the same way that OBA has over the last few weeks. Would you be thinking the same thing in terms of he needs to win the match?
I would think that, I wouldn't want any young guy to get squashed when they have an opportunity like this. Like, Brock Lesnar's not a champion. Brock Lesnar's on his way out. We all know it. So I would like to think that any young guy could get that position. Not that any young guy deserves it, but Bron Breakker is someone that they've definitely been building. Bron Breakker lost to CM Punk in January, which I actually still think is pretty detrimental. Like, I don't think he should have lost that match. I think they made enough noise about it. Anniversary of Netflix. They should have probably crowned Bron Breakker that day. In hindsight, I think there is something special with OBA FEMI. The aura is different. It's the intangibles. I can't even put my name on, you know, because it's like Bron Breakker is a formidable athlete as well. You know, wrestling family and everything like that. Like, but there's something about OBA FEMI which just gives you that this is Brock almost reincarnated. Obviously, please God, minus all the scandals and all the other stuff. But like, this is how he should be viewed on our TV as a WWE superstar. This is Brock all over again. And it's what Paul Heyman said. We haven't seen anything like this since Brock Lesnar turned up in 02 or whatever. So yeah, I just feel like everything has aligned for this moment and for this guy. Like, I don't feel a lot of many other people. Look at all the stuff they've done with Roman. Would Roman have even thrived in this spot if he kind of turned up when he turned up 2012, 2013, and they put him here? I don't know. I don't know. It really just does fit OBA FEMI.
Gerard, what are your thoughts? If this was a Bron Breakker, if this was a Roman Reigns when he first came, as Mex said, would it be any different?
I think it would be very different. You know, you look at Bron Breakker and you think to yourself, oh, he's a buzzsaw. But you don't think that he matches up with Brock. Because if you stand him next to Brock, you'll start to see, oh, man, he's much shorter than Brock. Oh, man, he's not as thick as Brock. And no, we have to kind of stretch on that one. Think about what it took for Roman to actually be deemed as credible against Brock. It wasn't until a couple of years ago at WrestleMania that we went, oh, okay, they're going to unify these titles and Roman's going to be the guy. Okay, we can kind of see it. So 2012, 2013, absolutely not. You know, there is something special. And I think, you know, to Mex's point, we've got to be able to acknowledge the intangible. That's the one thing about pro wrestling, you know, and almost everything right now in society. We try to have this formula that's like, okay, if you're this, if you're this, if you're this, okay, according to the formula, you should be that. And what makes this so special is WWE did not see this coming. Say whatever you want. They did not see that, okay, when this guy came in the NIL program, that he'd be in 2-3 years in his first Mania against Brock. You can't convince me that they saw that. They saw he was a special athlete, but the combination of everything together. And here's what else we've seen. We know historically, everybody who's great in NXT doesn't always translate on Raw and SmackDown. So yeah, this OBA thing is something, and he did it without a manager. He did it without a faction. He did it without anybody's endorsement. He showed up as him. And, you know, again, there are moments in time where you get these rare athletes, these rare superstars. I'm going to say something really bold because I think we need to understand what we have here. This is not just an average wrestler or an average superstar. I think before it's over, we're going to be like, oh, snap. This was Prince. This was Michael Jackson. This was these GOATs that are at such a different level that all we can do is stand back and marvel. In pro wrestling, there's only one Rock. There's only one Stone Cold. We were blessed to get them at the same time, and Undertaker and Mick Foley. But we've been looking for this. We've been looking for that guy. And that guy is OBA FEMI. And there's an argument that could be made that, you know, we're reliving, and this is going to sound wild to say, we're reliving the glory of the Attitude Era from a superstar perspective. We are now starting to see these massive superstars being presented before us. And again, this is We're seeing Rock and Austin 96, 97. Like, we're seeing this climb where we go, this is special. But then the closest thing we had was Austin and Bret Hart. That generational battle of one era versus another, where the one era is trying to hold on and the other era is grabbing. Man, we've got Michael Jordan on our hands, folks. And some will go, oh, you're being a prisoner of the moment. I am not. Guys, this is special. And Michael Jordan ain't losing.
Larry Bird looks like he's gonna try and hold on to his stuff, you know what I mean? So
yeah, he's gonna try to hold on. But all Bird can do is hit the three. Bird can't come in and dunk. He can't. Brock can suplex and throw. But True. Brock can't do a promo.
True.
Think about this. They can't send Brock out to do media. Shoot, they don't Brock doesn't do promos. Last night, he said like 5 words, and Paul Heyman did all his talking. And Paul Heyman has always done all his talking. Again, nobody's standing at the side of OBA FEMI. And you don't feel something when Brock talks. Brock's got that, high-pitched voice and come out here. Get out here now. You're not intimidated by that. So that's why he doesn't talk. OBA talks and you stand at attention. You feel something.
Let me just add, I think that is one massive takeaway from last night's Raw. But where us, that would have known OBA FEMI, we've been seeing him cut promos on NXT and things like that. The main roster audience haven't really seen much of that size. We've seen a couple of funny stuff here with Kit Wilson and just some other kind of lines backstage with Adam Pearce and stuff. But this is part of what makes a top guy, your ability to sell a fight. And he stood in that ring and he held his own and he put himself over, and there wasn't a stumble or anything like that. Because of the accent as well, he speaks with a certain cadence. It comes across like, you are in trouble sort of thing. So like, I feel like these are the things that the crowd would have learnt last night. Yeah, he's got all the muscles. He can throw around a security guard and he can powerbomb Brock Lesnar, last ride him above his head. But you saw a man sell a fight and put himself over. And like I say, that is something that even WWE, the creative, would have noticed. Okay, this guy has more to his toolbox than we might have actually even known. They trusted to give him the mic, but to deliver against Paul Heyman as well, like he really showed up last night. He's really done himself pure favors, not a mistake. Didn't put a foot wrong.
We could spend the rest of the show talking about OBA, but let's talk about the other person.
A good time.
Yeah, do it. Yeah,
trust me, you could easily. I would love to. But let's talk about the other person who probably gets the biggest reaction from the crowd, second to OBA FEMI right now. And I'm talking not just about black wrestlers, I'm talking about WWE wrestlers in general. Because right now, OBA's number one in terms of that noise that you get. The other one being Trick Williams. When he comes out, that Trick is bellowed everywhere throughout every stadium and arena that he's been in since he's joined the main roster. He's got a very strong chance, very, very strong chance of leaving WrestleMania as the Intercontinental Champion when he faces Sami Zayn. Gerard, do you feel as though that is just set in stone now, that's going to be the end result of this match? Is there a possibility it could be something else?
Here's the thing about WWE and WrestleMania is there are always things that we're like, that absolutely should be it. And something somewhere happens and somebody decides that it's not. So there's always the chance that Sami Zayn comes out of WrestleMania still the U.S. champion. I don't think it's a smart chance. I don't think it's a smart move. I mean, if we think about again, and let's just, we kind of have to deal with the elephant in the room. The fact that there aren't as many people going to be at WrestleMania this year as there were last year. These people who have paid however much money, whether they got 25% off over the weekend or not, they're coming to be entertained. You cannot afford to cut that arena by 30% and then turn around and disappoint those people. Now, that doesn't mean that every fan favorite is going to win. That doesn't mean that. But think about the moment of not just the entrance for Trick Williams, which I can't imagine what they're going to do. They're going to do something more than what they've been doing. I can't imagine what it is. But the moment after the match, do you want people because they're already booing Sami Zayn? And I appreciate that WWE has finally leaned into that. But Trick Williams, you have got, here's what they need. Yes, Trick Williams should win the US title, but you need to have on guest commentary Booker T. We need that moment at WrestleMania because God bless Lil Yachty. I'm sure somebody somewhere is happy about that, but I would have been okay with one episode. But when he came out Friday, I'm like, what? What? Boy, if you don't go through puberty already and stop being little, get some bass in your voice. What are we doing? What? Man, stop. Listen, I need Booker T with the bass in his voice to do it right. It's WrestleMania. Let that man, let the people on the main roster finally experience what all of us in NXT went crazy over. But do not have Lil Yachty on a mic. I don't need him on anybody's mic. Now, I did like his t-shirt, the whole gingerbread thing. It was gutsy because when they started going, I'm like, y'all got to be careful with that. You can't, we're going places we probably don't need to go. But yeah. But Booker T's got to commentate this. He's got to do his ad libs. And yeah, a world with Sami Zayn as the US champion when this is over would not be a good look, but it's possible. And the way it could happen, it could be how we see Carmelo Hayes involved. His attempt to maybe get back at Sammy misses and he costs Trick, which I just didn't even want to say that, but that's a possibility. But realistically, man, we need to whoop that Trick when this is over. And that's going to be a moment that they're talking about on ESPN. They're already talking about, he's already done interviews on ESPN where they're all talking about, you got to learn the entrance music. You got to see it. So that's got to show up on SportsCenter with him as a champion. That's got to happen.
Here's a crazy thing. You talk about how Trick Williams has been here, there, and everywhere. There was a video of him from, I think it was from last week, if not 2 weeks ago, him with Jamie Foxx.
Yes.
And it was great and it was amazing. But for those of us who know better, Jamie Foxx was holding Lash Legend's belt.
Right.
But with Trick Williams in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
We now need to make sure that a man like Jamie Foxx is holding Trick Williams' belt and not his girlfriend, his fiance's belt.
Yeah.
So even that alone, just that little thing there, is enough for it to be Trick needs to come away from this as the United States champion. Max, what are your thoughts in terms of this whole thing with Carmelo possibly missing? How do we put him in? Is it even going to happen? There's only one SmackDown left now until Mania. Do we find a way to put him in? And what does it mean? What does it mean if he doesn't go to Mania?
It's done. He's toast. He's not going to Mania. I think we shouldn't even kind of explore that it could happen. I think it's done. It's not happening. They had the opportunity this past week, and him being in the trainer's room and selling the knee and everything like that, that is their way of kind of counting him out. To be positive about it, he is focusing on obviously Trick, you costed me, Trick, I'm coming for you and stuff like that. Sammy is taking a bit of a heel position within this, so he will be present on the other side of WrestleMania. Unfortunately, WrestleMania isn't for everybody. You know, there isn't space for everybody. However, Carmelo deserved to be there. And there's even an argument to say that Dragunov deserved to be there.
Of course.
Absolutely.
So it's very, very harsh. It's very unfortunate that, you know, certain people are being shafted at the last minute. I recently done a video, the fact that Julia, as the United States champion, she's not on the card. The United States Women's Championship has never been on a PLE since they made that belt about 2 years ago. Right. And if they don't want to put Julia on the card, then you take the belt off her. Yeah, as black men, as black people, we're always talking about being represented in these positions. Currently, as it stands, there is no Japanese talent on WrestleMania, which that is terrible. That's an awful position to be in. I don't understand why there is no Japanese talent on that card right now. So I think Carmelo Hayes, I think this is a lesson. Not that he's done anything wrong, but to see the likes of an OBA FEMI come in, a Trick Williams who was literally under him, come in and jump over him and make it to this spot. Melo's not going to forget this. It's a learning experience. And, you know, I think he's done a lot of good work in the last 4 5 months or 6 months, maybe. But maybe just not enough impact to get him on the show, which is unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. This isn't a Melo problem. I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying it's a Melo problem. It's a bigger thing. But yeah, I think just to be positive, on the other side of Mania, he's going to be someone that is there. I hope him and Trick, if Trick is successful, they trade that US title maybe even a couple times through to like SummerSlam. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things that at this point in the day, one SmackDown away, we just have to, you know, he's not going to make it.
Gosh, that's hard to take. That's hard to take. But yeah, as you said, you know, as you said, and I'm very big on this myself. You know, in terms of, you know, WrestleMania not being the place where you just throw everyone in, because, you know, probably during the last few years of the McMahon reign, that's kind of what was happening, especially the Andre Memorial Battle Royal kind of came about because of that. And, you know, we're throwing everyone in just for participation points. And I'm not really the biggest fan of that. So I understand that, you know, Mania's for the people that make it and the stories that make sense, or the people that have done the hard work over the last year or 6 months, whatever it is. So yeah, for sure, the likes of Io Sky, Carmelo, Dragunov, all deserve to be there. And currently they don't have a space there. And that's hard to take. But I think when we look at the card, I can't really think or see anyone who shouldn't be there, if that makes sense. There's no one
on the WrestleMania card.
I can.
Maybe one.
Rusev? Why is Rusev there? What in the world? Why is it? Let me name another. The Bellas? Yeah. Why do we need the Bellas at WrestleMania? Like, are you kidding me? Yeah, it's kind of wild. Like, those two make zero sense to me. I mean, zero. You could throw in an argument about iShowSpeed, but at least he's got a large enough following to make sense of that.
Oh, for sure.
But, you know, the fact that we don't have, and they're keep teasing us, Io versus Asuka, why that hasn't been, you know, just gone and made official is crazy to me. So yeah, there's room. And I mean, we've got thankfully 7 matches per night, 6, I think, on Sunday night, which gives me the hope that, okay, one more match might be added, which could be perhaps Io versus Asuka. But yeah, like, still, you know, the fact that we don't have Carmelo and Dragunov, which I was certain was going to be a WrestleMania main event. Like, it just made sense that these guys, you were going to have the match on the card for the pure wrestling fans. That's what that was going to be. So yeah, I think there's room. there's definitely room. No, we don't want, you know, an AEW length pay-per-view, but I think there's definitely room to squeeze one more match on there.
For sure. You mentioned Rusev probably not being the greatest candidate to find himself on the WrestleMania card, but of course one other guy, and probably everyone else in that match, who does deserve to be mentioned and given their space in that match, is Javon Evans. Of course, we're talking about the 6-man ladder match for Penta's Intercontinental Championship. Another person kind of inserted himself into the match is one Rey Mysterio. But Mex, what do you think? My thoughts exactly. What do you think of the possibility that Javon Evans makes history in Las Vegas by becoming the youngest champion, main roster champion in WWE history?
Don't dangle a carrot and not deliver. You guys came out and told us he would be the youngest ever champion or youngest ever winner at WrestleMania, or youngest ever Intercontinental champion, whichever one it was. You guys came out and told us that. No one done the research and come and look at that and come and paste it on the internet. You guys told us that. So now don't dangle the carrot and don't deliver. You are clearly on a movement to show us that it isn't just 40-year-olds in this company. There are younger people, there are spots available for the younger people. The young people are able to take over. This is an opportunity to put your money where your mouth is. I genuinely thought that when this match was being set up, I can see Penta retaining, to be completely honest. But yeah, the only other person, if Penta isn't going to retain, is Javon Evans. That's really the only other winner of the match, if we're completely honest with ourselves. So I think it would be a fantastic moment to kind of give him that accolade and to crown off what has been a really successful year or so for Javon Evans. You know, he got bled into the before he officially moved to the main roster. He saw his talent there. So yeah, he's featured in a lot of good positions over the last year, and I think they know, again, this is one for the future. This isn't like OBA FEMI that we need to potentially crown world champion this year. We can take our time with him somewhat, but you do need to kind of pay off the good work he's been doing, and just kind of at the same time, again, this is one of the matches that falls into the ESPN slot of the show. So use this as an advert. Show America that, you know, look at all of these amazing young talents. Look at this other young black guy that we've got that, you know, can steal a show, sort of thing. Yeah, he's infectious. He's got the charisma and everything like that. People will love him on arrival. So yeah, he's a very good advert in that aspect, you know, for the company. So yeah, there is no reason for them not to actually give him this win.
Gerard, if we're talking about Javon winning the Intercontinental Championship, we're kind of almost 95 to 98% certain Trick Williams is going to walk out as the United States champion. We believe the only result that makes sense is for OBA FEMI to beat Brock Lesnar. And I guess for me, there is a strong possibility that Lash Legend and Nia Jax retain. They could lose it to Bayley and Valkyria.
Can you smell that?
Yeah.
It smells like Blackamania.
This is Melanin-Mania for a reason, mate. The possibility of, you know, those 4 matches ending with wins for us. And I believe so. I believe we could see iSHOWSPEED and the Vision winning that opening match as well. Do you think there are people out there? I'm gonna ask this question. Do you think there are people out there that are thinking, okay, well, all of those wins can't happen, so one of them is not, 1 or 2 of them is not going to happen? Do you think that's a very true possibility?
Like I said, anything is possible, and I'm sure there are people who are thinking about it. But there was a major statement made yesterday on ESPN. Joe Tessitore was on, and he talked about kind of the 5 big stars to expect, the new stars to expect at WrestleMania. And 4 of the top 5, Oba, Trick, Javon, Lash Legend. That's a massive statement. And as I have been saying before, one of the toughest jobs that has to happen in pro wrestling is to be able to showcase representation without overtly saying that it's representation. So we look at the irresistible forces as these 2 powerhouses that the women's division has not seen. We don't see a Samoan and a black woman, though we know that's what we're seeing. You know, you see Javon Evans, who is just an incredible high flyer who you really can't make comparisons to because there's nobody like this guy. We don't see a young black kid who's barely 21 years old. You've got Trick Williams, who is the most charismatic star in all of WWE right now. And we love his entrance. We love all the things, his lemon pepper steppers, all of that. We don't see, and it's not being presented as this is just the cool black guy. OBA FEMI is the superhero of superheroes, the conqueror of conquerors, the avenger for all of us against Brock Lesnar. And we see the star, this mammoth of a man. They're not saying, oh, this will be the first black guy to beat Brock Lesnar. My point for saying all of that is all of these people are in these spots because they're incredible, not because they're black. So them being black is obviously an addition for us, and it's a great thing for us. But the people see them as the people. And I think that's why we can potentially look at WrestleMania as being arguably the most successful for our wrestlers, perhaps in history. You know, it's a whole thing that I'm very excited about because we realistically can see almost all of them leaving with gold. And then, I mean, iSHOWSPEED, what he has on his side is he's an influencer, an influential influencer. So what's the bigger move? I mean, here's what's crazy. They dropped the stat last night that, you know, Logan Paul pushing him had the most social views of any clip in the history of Raw, SmackDown, or NXT. 400. I would have never imagined that because it was a shove. But that's his level of influence. So I think we have, arguably for the first time in our history, all of these factors working for all of our superstars. And that makes this a much different conversation than any times past.
And this is why, for me, I said it at the top of the show that, you know, this is by far, you know, the blackest WrestleMania that we've had since WrestleMania 37. And while almost every single one of the matches that our stars were involved in that WrestleMania were all for titles, and this one necessarily isn't, there's a strong chance it will feel bigger because of the success that will come out of it, the longevity that comes from it, regardless of the results, regardless of who wins, who loses their matches. It just feels bigger because there is a, you know, it's gonna have a longer feeling. It's about the future, as Joe Tessitore said. You know, 4 of his 5, you know, future stars to watch at this WrestleMania are black. And I love the way you put it, Gerard. You know, in naming every single one of those guys and telling us that it's not because they're black,
right?
It's because they're good. It's because they're good. It's because they have the it factor. It's because they're working. It's because they have, as Mick said, you know, those intangible factors that you just can't describe or put your finger on.
Oh, wait, we missed one.
Go on.
Jade Cargill.
Oh, my word. Oh, my word.
Jade Cargill coming in as the women's WWE champion. Like that we have never walked into a space where our stars came in more successful. Think about it. 2 of them are coming in as champions, and they're all women. They're all women. So this is special on so many levels for us. And I mean, I know there are folks who are just like, oh, Jade can't beat Rhea, but my God, Jade beat Io Sky this weekend.
Right.
I was stunned. I mean, stunned. I was like, wait, what? I couldn't believe. I was stunned. So yeah, you know, there's the possibility, and I don't want to be that guy, but this Rhea doesn't seem as intimidating as the previous Rheas that's gone to WrestleMania and won championships.
Definitely not.
So
just to add to that, I think this Rhea is very much like we needed to sell a match. Bianca wasn't available. Input her, right? Put her in here. Jade can 100% beat Rhea, and especially because of what we're saying with the story, Rhea, just being inputted into this, I do kind of believe Jade is gonna beat Rhea. And I want them to, you know, pull their finger out and book Jade and that faction, you know, menacingly throughout the spring, summer of this year, before we maybe get a Bianca return and stuff. But just on this overall conversation, I remember back to when Bobby Lashley was in the company, and he specifically said, I do not want to be known as a black champion. And on initial listen to that, I kind of took offense. I was like, what do you mean? You're black, bro. Like, what do you mean by that? Until it was kind of explained, like, I am as good as everybody else. I am a wrestler, you know, pro wrestler like everybody else. We shouldn't be highlighting the fact I'm black. We need to get to the point where this is the norm. And we are arriving at the point where this is the norm. And even through all the stars through night 1 and night 2 that are going to be featured on WrestleMania, think about all the people that are not going to make WrestleMania. We've got R-Truth as a tag team champion. He's not going to be on WrestleMania. Right. Like, let alone Carmelo, who deserves to be there, and you know, massive talents like the Street Profits that have just disappeared into thin air. Others like Bianca and Naomi that are injured or, you know, awaiting birth of children or whatever the case may be. Then you look down at NXT and all the talents coming through. Then you look down at the indies and all the black talents coming through. We are arriving at a place where this is going to be very, very normal very soon. You know, and like you said, some people are looking at this WrestleMania card thinking, oh, what are all these lot gonna do here and come and win here and all of this kind of stuff. Some people are in a lot of trouble this weekend.
Mate.
Because they've never seen anything like this before. So I think we're just arriving at that place where Bobby Lashley said this has to become more normal, because we're everywhere right now.
Just going off the back of what you said about what Bobby Lashley said about not wanting to be known as a black champion, I've heard it so many times from other black wrestlers as well. Swerve has recently said something very similar a couple of years ago, maybe. Moose is another one who said something very similar to that. You know, Jonathan Gresham is another one who's kind of alluded to that same type of sentiment as well. And I feel as though we are, you know, we've all just said it, we're getting to that place where it isn't just about, yes, the token black guy, or you know, and that kind of thing, or let's throw them in because these are making noise, or you know, that kind of thing. So this is why this for me just feels a lot more special. And again, regardless of the results, I feel as though it could be, you know, we could 100% come out with 100% wins for our people from this WrestleMania. But even if we don't, we're still in a very, very good place in terms of future, you know, future results, future champions, future main eventers, future mainstays on our shows every week in, week out. And as you said, Max, even to think, and R-Truth isn't going to be on WrestleMania. Carmelo's missing. Jada Parker, Sol Ruka are coming up. Kalani Jordan. You know, we're talking about Kelly Armstrong moving from Evolve to NXT. Like, we could name two people. 5-10 years ago, name two people that we were happy to see on our TV show. Now we're struggling to name all of them and struggling to find spaces for them. It's mad. It's crazy, but in a very, very good way. Just to move away from the WWE real quick. The last thing we were going to talk about Worst Keys, but we're running out of time. But I want to mention this guy. I definitely don't want to miss out mentioning this guy at all. And that is in AEW, Kevin Knight, who has just become the new TNT champion. Of course, he won it at Dynasty in the Casino Battle Royal match. He entered in at number 9 of the eventual 10 that were involved in the match. Gerard, you know Kevin yourself. On a personal note, you've called matches for him before. You've been at shows where he's been on in multiple occasions. When you saw this unexpected win, what was running through your head when you saw that 1, 2, 3 and him holding that TNT championship?
What a moment. What a moment. I mean, and to think AEW has clearly been putting the rocket on Kevin Knight, going back to his trios championship win. And then even the moment where he had the match against MJF for the world title. I mean, like, these are great, great moments which say they recognize the star power of Kevin Knight, who has been a history maker. I mean, the first African-American graduate of the New Japan Dojo, which is massive in its own right, a tag team champion over in New Japan, doing so many great things in TNA. He was involved in the very first match at Ashe Wrestling. He's just been that guy. Great guy. He's got the skill. He's got the talent. He's got the look. He's got the mic skills. He's got all of the things that make him that guy. And again, if we're talking about a youth movement in our business all the way across the board, this makes sense. That TNT title designed, it's supposed to be kind of the primary mid-card title. It's hard to tell what is right now in AEW. But what I do know for sure is that championship does still mean something. And I think that he has the opportunity to really make it special. I don't think he needs to do open challenges because that just is overdone right now. But I think he does need to continue to have great matches. But I definitely want us to all love on what Kevin Knight is doing because, again, for him to get the rocket ship and this nod in this way is so, so special. His first singles championship in a major promotion. And I think this is what an opportunity for Kevin Knight. So congratulations to him. I'm so proud, so proud of him. He's done the work and now it's paying off. I love it.
It's a major statement. I said he was number 9 of 10 that ended up in that match. You could have put that title on any single one of those 10. And it would have made some level of sense. He's there. He's not been there long. He's already a 2-time trio champion. He lost that trio championship just 4 days before winning this. That tells you something as well. He's won that TNT championship before the likes of a Ricochet, a Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, so many of us. Mex, how big is this thing? Can you put it into words? Just how big of a statement that is for Kevin Knight, for Tony Khan to kind of say, this is my TNT guy.
It's how big they make it from here. That is it, because one of the major issues, like we're saying, is that they've got 4 mid-card champions. Right. So, and unfortunately, the TNT one has kind of fallen to the bottom of the pile. But it's how big they make it from here. Do not just relegate him to Collision. There's nothing wrong with Collision, great wrestling show, but don't just relegate him there. Show him on the prime time Dynamite as well, have matches and stuff like that. And let's have some story. I think this is the one thing now I'm waiting for from Kevin Knight, myself, just to kind of see him. We know he's a fantastic wrestler. Give him more opportunities on the mic. Give him some more feuds so he can have those opportunities on the mic. Let's flesh out who Kevin Knight is, you know, a bit more on TV. I think that's what we're waiting for at this point. And that's when we start kind of showing, you know, how people can move up a card. When Mark Davies got injured, and like what now, 2 years ago now, when he had that serious injury, they just sent what's his face? Carl Fletcher's down to ROH. They just sent him to ROH. He was having bangers with Lee Johnson, Big Shotty Lee down in ROH. Like, yeah, he had the matches. They said, okay, now this guy's too good. Let's give him the opportunity. They give him the mic, give him with Don Callis and all that kind of stuff. They built the Carl Fletcher that we see today. Obviously, Carl Fletcher had the rub of Will Ospreay as well. That helps. Like, this is what we now need to do with Kevin Knight. You know, he's the same age profile as these other lot that we're talking about. He sits right in between. He's a year older than OBA FEMI, maybe 2 years younger than Trick Williams. Like, they are all in the same class. Yeah. I even still want, and this is a side note, that class he graduated from in the New Japan dojo. We need a documentary from him, Gabriel Kidd. What's that boy that was in NXT? Eddie, whatever his face was.
Oh, yeah. Eddie Thorpe.
We need a documentary of that class that went through and all graduated together. Just as a
crazy. What a crazy class.
But yeah, in terms of success, accolades, Kevin probably leads that class right now. Like you said, he does. TNT champion, singles championship. He's won the tag championships with Kushida, TNA, IWGP. Like, he's doing his thing. But we now need to start evolving the man. And when I wanted him to join the Hurt Syndicate, this is exactly why. Like, let's see more what he can do, you know. So I think that's how you make this special at this point and make it stand out from these other mid-card championships. Let's just do more with the guy himself.
You just put an interesting thought in my head.
Go on.
The Hurt Syndicate have just come back. We know 2 weeks ago they were, you know, or 2 or 3 weeks ago, they've made it known that they're looking for a fourth member.
It's not too late.
It's not too late whatsoever, because with the way Kevin Knight is kind of presenting himself as well on his socials, this guy's the best dressed guy in wrestling right now to me. You know what I mean? In terms of his socials and stuff. And then he's turning up at some of these celebrity, you know, red carpets and whatnot every now and again. He did some presenting thing a few weeks back as well. He's talking a little bit more. His press conference after Dynasty was strong. It was good. It was good. You know, we could easily get the story of, you know, the typical story of the tag team partner who's jealous of him because he's got singles gold and Speedboard doesn't. We've had the whole thing of Swerve in his ears. We could probably revisit that, see that again, see where that goes. And if it leads to the Hurt Syndicate, or let me put it this way, MVP giving him his card, then yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here. When they first kind of made that announcement that they were looking for a fourth person, and I put out the post and people are giving their suggestions and whatever else, and I was expecting someone to say Kevin Knight, or a few people to say Kevin Knight. I was thinking, I don't really see it. Not right now. I don't really see it. But now I'm like, you know what? It would make sense. It would make a hell of a lot of sense. Hell of a lot of sense. That would be interesting. I'm going to touch on this very, very quickly. We'll end on this one here. Kevin Knight's also now involved in a six-man tag against The Demand alongside Speedball, Mike Bailey, and Michael Oku at WrestleCon. This has all kind of come from the fact that it was going to be Ricochet, a singles match between Ricochet and TNA X Division champion Leon Slater. We had this whole debacle of AEW, TNA, you know, TNA getting involved, or WWE probably getting involved and saying TNA can't be losing to AEW talent, yada, yada, yada. Mex, what are your thoughts on that whole thing? And do you feel as though there is that, if Ricochet defeated Leon Slater, would that really be a problem in terms of, you know, the visuals for TNA?
I think this comes down to all wrestling companies now not wanting their talent to lose. It's hard. Like, we don't mind you going and doing indies and work with these indies that we have a relationship with, but we don't want you to lose. So if two men are going to stand in a ring and no one wants to lose, what happens then? Now, like AEW, I feel like they have a right to kind of be bitter somewhat. If I remember correctly, they got when when they had the relationship with AAA, and I think Dragon Lee and someone who I can't remember who Dragon Lee was with, they beat FTR for the AAA championships and then just dropped them, and Dragon Lee turned up at WWE. AEW are gonna feel like what are you lot doing here? Like you just beat our guys and now the guy goes to work for WWE. So I can imagine some apprehensiveness on that aspect, but seemingly the issues with TNA withdrawing talents all over the place. Listen, it's wrestling. Somebody has to lose, and I'm sure that these guys want to do the greater good and maybe pass it on. I'm sure Ricochet probably wouldn't have had an issue losing to Leon Slater to kind of push him along and stuff like that. And more importantly, on this kind of occasion at WrestleCon, it's all about the match. It's all about the match that people can go home and say like, okay, I went to WrestleMania weekend, but this match at WrestleCon, this was the match of the weekend. You know, that's all that these guys really care about in these kind of one-off occasions. Dolph Ziggler, of course, should lose to the AEW World Champion, Mark MJF. Of course he should. Like, but I don't know. I don't know how to kind of sum it up, but really and truly, we can't say let's put stock in the indies and want the indies to do well. But when we have our big attractions coming over to the indies, we're kind of cherry picking who they can win and can't win against. It makes it for a very kind of pretentious atmosphere, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're being robbed if we don't get some of those matches that you, especially when you've advertised it. It's not good for promoters. It's not good for the overall business either.
Gerard, how detrimental do you think it could be for TNA's involvement or TNA stars' involvement in other promotions or in the near future? Do you think it's going to cause a problem? Is there going to be hesitation from other promotions now?
I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, as a promoter, you know, you don't want to advertise something that you're unable to deliver. And if you've already gotten the agreement from the parties involved and you're advertising and you're selling tickets, you know, and you didn't do anything to cause this not to happen, sure, it'll make you apprehensive, because at the end of the day, you need to be able to put on your event and not worry about what we advertised isn't something that we can deliver. So I think there's concern about that, and I think rightfully so. I think, and this is where it can get tricky for some people, I think this is why indie promotions need to take the time to build their own stars. If you build your stars, you don't have to depend on somebody from an outside company to allow you to, you know, sell tickets. You can build your own stars. And what that ultimately does is that positions your promotion as a space where these major promotions can start looking for stars. Because at the end of the day, as has been the theme of this show, it's a youth movement. At some point, we're not going to get Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton in 5 years. That's not happening. You know, Roman Reigns is not happening in 5 years. A lot of the people who are at the top of the card aren't going to be there in 5 years. You need to build somebody else, you know? And so when you create the kind of buzz in the indie space without having to go to TNA and AEW, you now position your promotion and those wrestlers in a better space, as opposed, because here's the thing, everybody knows that if the AEW world champion is coming to your promotion, there is no chance he's losing the world title. There's no chance. So, I mean, that's the thing that I think people have to consider is, if you have to call on those names to draw a house, then maybe you need to rethink what you've actually built. I'm grateful that, you know, I look at spaces like Ashe. Yes, we've had Leon Slater on a couple of occasions, and the last time he was with us, he was the X Division champion. But that also was not our main event.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the main event was filled with Ashe stars. You know, the bulk of the card was filled with Ashe stars. I think it's, you know, it goes to the conversation we had earlier when it comes to celebrities. In the indie world, these television wrestling talents are celebrities.
Yep.
So can you utilize these celebrities well in order to make your product work? And I think you have to be very, very circumspect with how you do that. I mean, I think we all knew that when Leon Slater, as the X Division champion, comes to defend the title at Ashe, it's going to make for a great match. But do we think that, you know, Leon Slater's going to drop the TNA X Division championship at an Ashe show? It would make for great news. But realistically, would that happen with TNA involved? Probably not. So I think promoters are going to have to be careful with how they try to call in favors and utilize this talent when you run the risk of clearly your talent not being put over.
For sure, for sure. Let me just say this really quickly as well. Leon Slater is now the second longest reigning X Division champion of all time. Less than 30 days for him to eclipse Austin Aries' record. More than likely that's going to happen. So we're anticipating that. That should be interesting indeed. On that note, we are at the end of our show. Mex, tell the people where they can find you in your celebrity lifestyle and all those things.
Defo not no celebrity, but you can find me on WrestleMania QUK on all your social media platforms, and you can find me on Wrestlings as well. Me and the man them chopping up all the good wrestling stuff as per usual.
I checked out the last show, Wrestlings. It was good. It was so good. It was so good. I'm waiting for the rest. Gerard, yourself, where can they find you? I mean, I know we can just say your name and you'll appear, but where else can we find you?
For sure, you could find me at Bonafide across all of the social spaces: Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, Threads, and all of those spaces. Certainly, you can check out my work with Ashe Wrestling at AsheWrestling.com and check out the Patreon space there for all of the previous Ashe shows. You can check out my work with Southern Honor Wrestling on IWTV as well. And you can check out, again, my socials. We've got some cool videos that we just dropped. My podcast is out as well. It's called Bonafide Conversations. Just dropped a brand new episode today talking about those who are great dealing with loneliness. Trust me, it's a great conversation that you don't want to miss. And I'm cooking up something you guys should know very, very soon. I'm very excited about it.
Wow. Like I said, just say his name, he shall appear. This man is everywhere. Everywhere. Guys, you know you can find me in the one space you need to find me, which is Black Wrestling Alliance on Instagram, and of course also right here on WrstlXtra every Tuesday. Also, don't forget we are also on TikTok. Still new to the place. We're kind of getting our, putting our feet down a little bit. But find us over there, join us over there, follow us on TikTok as well for all clips from here, WrstlXtra as well. Guys, this has been our time. Thank you for watching us, and we'll see you next week for the results from WrestleMania. Hopefully, it's going to be a clean sweep. We'll see you there.